When a stampede occurred at the kindergarten, Harper rushed to save his first-love son, forcefully pulling away his daughter's hand. The last glimmer of hope in his daughter's eyes, who had always longed for her father's love, was extinguished. After I desperately rescued my daughter, she looked at me calmly and said, "Mom, I'm willing to lead Dad with you. Let's go somewhere he'll never find us." My daughter's words stunned me, and then I was overwhelmed with heartache. In the past, my daughter loved Harper. Even though he rarely showed up throughout the year and never smiled at her, she still loved him. After learning that Harper had never forgotten his first love, I once asked my daughter if she would be willing to leave with me. Every time I mention it, my daughter cries and says to me, "Mom, Tara loves Mom and Dad. Can our family stay together?" For my daughter's sake, I have endured not divorcing. Today, my daughter has taken the initiative to leave me. Clearly her heart has been broken by Harper. Looking at the scar on my daughter's head, my heart ached terribly. I held her tightly in my arms and said to her in a trembling voice, "All right, Mom will take Tara away. No one will ever hurt Tara again. Since Harper doesn't like us, then we don't want him either." My daughter spoke softly again, "Mom, tomorrow is Tara's birthday. Can I spend one last birthday with Dad before I leave?" I know she still has a glimmer of hope for her father. Although Harper isn't close to his daughter, he always spends time with her on her birthday. He gives her a limited edition Hello Kitty doll every year, never changing it. Every year on this day, he posts an update. A photo of a doll, accompanied by a few words. It's just like a father who deeply loves his daughter, carefully recording the moments she spends in this world. That's why his daughter has always had high expectations for Harper. I also comforted myself that he still loved us. But 3 months ago, Harper's first love, Vera, returned home. I only realized later that what Harper had recorded was not his daughter's birthday, but the time Vera left him. Even Hello Kitty was because Vera liked it. From beginning to end, neither my daughter nor I had any place in his heart. I opened my mouth several times but still couldn't bring myself to tell my daughter the cruel truth. Never mind, this is the last time. Let her think that her father still loves her. When I left the clinic, I bumped into Harper. The man who let go of his daughter in that moment of crisis was now holding Tom carefully. Vera was walking beside him. Harper walked alongside Vera, speaking softly to her. If Harper weren't my husband and my daughter's father, I would envy this family of 3. Vera saw us first, looking smug, then pretended to be surprised. "Is that Jolie? It's been so long, I missed you so much." I really admire Vera's acting skills. Just 3 months ago, she couldn't wait to find me as soon as she got off the plane to brag about how Harper had loved her all these years. She urged me to be sensible and divorce Harper on my own. But now she acts like she's just met me for the first time. Well, that's not surprising, considering she was already such a good actress back in college. In college, I once thought of her as my best friend and let her in completely. I fell in love with Harper at the student council and was troubled about how to confess my feelings to him. Vera encouraged me to write a love letter and volunteered to deliver it for me. I didn't suspect anything. I sent letter after letter, but never received a reply. Before I had time to feel disappointed, he had already become Vera's boyfriend. But Vera had only met him a few times, and everything she knew about him came from my descriptions. Before I could recover from my shock, I learned from the club friends teasing that the two had started dating because of those love letters. I went to find Vera to explain. But she was acting out of character, looking at me innocently and saying, "Even though we met because of your confession letter, he likes my face, doesn't he?" I was speechless. In one night, I lost my best friend and the person I loved most. I had no choice but to go abroad to heal my broken heart. After graduating and returning to China, I heard that Harper had fallen into despair after Vera abandoned him and left the country to marry someone else due to a major crisis at his company. I couldn't bear it, so I volunteered to be Harper's assistant. Later, the company's business gradually improved. After a night of revelry at the celebration banquet, I found myself pregnant. Harper disappeared for a week, then returned and threw a ring at me. He said that abortion would be harmful to my health, so we might as well get married. We got married just like that, with no ceremony, no wedding photos, just a marriage certificate to prove our relationship. 5 years after the wedding, Harper never once mentioned Vera. I thought he had already forgotten her. But it turned out that he didn't mention her not because he didn't remember, but because the scars were too deep, and every time he brought her up, it hurt him. Now that Vera is back, he has finally gotten what he wanted. As an outsider, I should step aside. Harper saw the scar on his daughter's forehead and felt a rare pang of guilt. He spoke to his daughter, Tara. Dad didn't mean to leave you behind today. He said this, but his hands holding Tom didn't move at all. The daughter looked at Tom, who was tightly embraced by his father, and Vera, who was standing next to Harper. Her eyes were filled with envy and resentment, but in the end, she just shook her head and held back her tears. Tara knows that Tom doesn't have a father, so she should care for him more. Tara understands. Harper recognized these words as something he had once said to his daughter, and he was stunned for a moment. Tom's schooling had been arranged by Harper. Afraid that others would bully Tom, Harper donated a library. He let everyone mistakenly believe that he was Tom's father. But when his daughter started school, he forbade Tara from telling anyone about their relationship. In the 2 years since his daughter started school, he has never picked her up or dropped her off, nor has he ever attended any of her class activities. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, Tom gathered the children in the class to isolate and bully Tara, saying that she was a wild child without a father. Tara cried and begged Harper to tell her father to come pick her up from school and tell everyone that she had a father, and that Tom's father was actually her father. Harper refused. Tom doesn't have a dad, he's already pitiful enough. Do you want everyone to think Tom is lying? Tara, you're 5 years old now, you should know better. That's what he said to his daughter at the time. At that moment, hearing the same words from his daughter's mouth, he found them somewhat jarring. He wanted to hug his daughter, but as soon as he made a move, Tom began crying and shouting in his arms, "I want Daddy Harper to hold me." Harper immediately hugged Tom tightly and coaxed him gently. "Tom, be good, don't be afraid, Daddy Harper is here." His voice was gentle and patient, like a father who loved his child dearly. But in reality, his biological daughter had never felt his fatherly love. Now she could only stare blankly at him as he held another child, the wound on her forehead still visible. After a long moment, Tara lowered her head, her eyes red. Vera tried to cover it up. "Jolie, don't get the wrong idea. Harper is just taking pity on us, a widow and her child." I squeezed my daughter's small hand tightly and forced a smile. "Mr. Harper is considerate of his employees." "That's only right." Vera's smile froze. She was trying to hint at her closeness with Harper, but I wasn't going to let her get her way. Vera's eyes were filled with hatred. She gave Tom a look, and Tom began to sob. "Daddy Harper, Tom feels so bad." He closed his eyes tightly, clutching his chest, looking very uncomfortable. Harper's expression suddenly changed. He couldn't care less about anything else and hurriedly left with Tom in his arms. He didn't even look back at us. Just as Harper was about to disappear, my daughter suddenly called out to him loudly. "Daddy!" Harper stopped and looked back at my daughter. Her daughter's clear eyes filled with tears as she choked out, "Dad, tomorrow is Tara's birthday. You'll be with Tara, right?" Her daughter cried until her nose turned red, and Harper felt so sad that he promised his daughter. "Of course. Tara, be a good girl and go home with Mom. Dad will be home tonight to spend time with you." I hugged my daughter tenderly, silently repeating to myself, "Harper, you have 2 more chances to see your daughter. I hope you cherish them." Back home, my daughter and I began packing our luggage in unison. My daughter ran over with several stuffed animals in her arms, her little face full of anticipation. These were the only gifts Harper had given my daughter over the past few years. I couldn't bear to disappoint my daughter, and besides, the items were harmless, so I silently allowed her to put them in her suitcase. A smile appeared on my daughter's face, and I couldn't help but smile too. Just as we were enjoying ourselves, there was a sudden noise at the door. My daughter and I looked up, and our eyes lit up with surprise. It was Harper. He had really come back. But our joy was quickly shattered by Vera and Tom following behind him. "Jolie, Tom has a fever, and Vera can't manage on her own, so I've asked her to stay at our place for a few days." Harper looked at me and spoke slowly. In the past, I might have been very upset. But now, I have long since seen how much Vera means to Harper, and I feel nothing but calm. I nodded calmly. Harper was dissatisfied with my response. He frowned and asked me, "You don't mind?" I looked at Harper in confusion. It was his house, he could let anyone he wanted to live there. What say did I have? Seeing that I didn't respond, Harper's expression grew even more sullen. The guest bedroom doesn't get much light, and Tom got scared. Let them stay in the master bedroom. I'll stay there tonight too, to keep him company. My heart sank. Even though I didn't really care, I still felt disappointed. Was it really that urgent? Couldn't they even wait until Tara and I left? Vera, who was standing nearby, also seemed a little surprised, but the next second, she looked at me with a smug expression. My heart ached, but I nodded anyway. I had already decided to leave. Whatever happened between him and Vera in the future was none of my business. Harper took a deep breath and was about to speak when my daughter suddenly started crying. I turned around and saw Tom grabbing my daughter's favorite doll. Seeing that she was about to be pushed to the ground by Tom, I rushed over and protected my daughter. Seeing this, Tom threw himself on the floor and rolled around. "That's Mom's favorite doll. I want to give it to her." Vera scolded Tom. "Tom, listen to me. Mom doesn't like dolls anymore. She doesn't deserve such an expensive gift." Her tears came quickly, and seeing her cry so pitifully, Harper felt so sorry for her. He spoke sternly to his daughter, "Tara, give the doll to your brother." His daughter was startled by his tone. But after glancing at the doll in her arms, she still argued softly. "Dad, this doll is the birthday present you gave Tara. Tara doesn't want to give it to her brother. Is that okay?" Harper paused. You could tell from his expression that he didn't remember the doll at all. He probably never imagined that the gift he had given his daughter so casually would be so precious to her. Vera spoke kindly. "Harper, don't be so hard on Tara. That doll is so expensive, it's normal for a child to be reluctant to part with it." Harper came to his senses and looked at his daughter, his tone becoming more serious. "Tara, when did you become so stingy? Give the doll to your brother." I knew how much my daughter cherished the gift Harper had given her, and I was about to stop her. But she quickly handed the doll to him. With tears in her eyes, she said, "Brother, I'm sorry. You can have this doll." Harper looked at her sensible daughter and felt pleased, wanting to touch her head. Tara avoided him, however. She didn't look at Harper again and turned to me. "Mom, Tara is tired. Mom, take Tara to bed. My heart is breaking. No one understands how sad my daughter feels more than I do." Harper seems to realize that she spoke a little too loudly and tries to make up for it. "Tara, tomorrow is your birthday, and Daddy will get you a bigger doll." He was sure his daughter would be delighted to hear this. But she didn't even turn her head and quietly refused him. "Thank you, Dad, but Tara doesn't like dolls anymore. Give it to Tom, please." This was the first time Harper had been rejected by his daughter, and he felt a little uneasy. He wanted to hug her, but just as he made a move, Tom grabbed his leg. When he looked up again, Jolie had already taken their daughter into the guest room. At that time, he didn't know that this would be his last chance to hold his daughter, but he missed it. The next day, I took my daughter to kindergarten to withdraw her from school. When we reached the door, we ran into Harper and Vera holding Tom's hand. Harper furrowed his brow and spoke in a low voice. "Why didn't you wait for me?" I sneered inwardly. He probably didn't remember. Once, I wasn't feeling well and asked him to take Tara to school. He told me not to play games and to make our relationship public. From then on, I never fantasized that he would give Tara to me. Vera acted like the mistress of the house. Yes, Jolie, why did you bring Tara to school by yourself? Harper drove Tom to school today, and we could have all gone together. Her words were full of pride. Unfortunately, my daughter and I would never feel sorry for Harper again. I was pulling my daughter away when the principal suddenly appeared and fawned over Harper. Oh, Mr. Harper, you're so busy, and you still took the time to bring Tom to school. Tom is so lucky to have such a responsible father. After finishing, she looked at Vera and praised her. This must be your wife, right? She's so beautiful and really suits Mr. Harper. She was so busy flattering them that she didn't notice the different expressions on the faces of the others present. Harper looked at my daughter and me in a panic, but didn't correct himself. Only Tom nodded happily in agreement. My daughter pouted and hid behind me, looking dejected. The principal remembered why he had come out. He slapped his forehead and said to me, Jolie, this withdrawal application needs the child's father's signature to be valid. Principal. I tried to stop the principal, but it was too late. Harper looked at me in confusion. What withdrawal application? The principal was about to speak again, but I quickly interrupted him. It's nothing. Tara got hurt and has to withdraw from the performance. Harper didn't suspect anything and reached out to take the document. Where do I sign? The principal waved his hands hurriedly. Mr. Harper, you're mistaken. Only the child's father can sign. Harper suddenly became aggressive and said to the principal, I'm Tara's father. Do you have a problem with that? What? The principal was stunned by this bombshell. I didn't know what Harper was thinking, suddenly admitting his relationship with us. Was it a form of charity? But my daughter and I don't need it anymore. I snatched the documents from Harper's hand and said to the principal, I'm sorry, Mr. Harper was joking. He's Tom's dad, my child's father. Harper was furious, but he couldn't refute it. He could only pull his daughter's hand and say to her, Tara, don't worry, Daddy will sign for you. But his daughter shook her head. Uncle, you're not Tara's daddy. Tara doesn't have a daddy. One sentence left Harper speechless. My daughter pried Harper's hand away and pulled me away. But we could still hear Harper's voice behind us. Jolie, is this how you taught Tara? Since I'm not Tara's father, I guess I don't need to show up for her birthday tonight, right? I didn't expect Harper to use this to threaten me. I was about to argue with him when my daughter pulled me back. Uncle, if you're busy, just go ahead. I looked down in shock and saw that my daughter's eyes were red, but she was biting her lip and not saying a word. My tears fell instantly as I bent down, picked up my daughter, and walked away. Harper, I will never give you the chance to hurt Tara again. In the evening, I cooked a big meal like I always do and ordered a large cake for my daughter. My daughter and I sat quietly at the table waiting for Harper. But deep down, neither of us had any expectations. We were just waiting to give up hope completely. Time passed quickly, and soon the clock struck 11:50. My phone buzzed with a message from Vera. Don't wait up, Harper's already asleep. Attached was a photo of Harper snuggled up between Tom and Vera, fast asleep. It looked so warm and cozy, just like a real family of three. I put down my phone, lit the candles, and said to my daughter, Tara, make a wish. There was little disappointment or sadness on my daughter's face. Instead, she obediently said to me, Mom, Tara is giving this wish to you. I looked at my daughter's adorable face and felt my heart melt. In the end, I didn't make a wish. The person I love most is already by my side, so I don't need any wishes. Before deleting Harper's contact information, I asked my daughter if she wanted to say goodbye to her father one last time. My daughter thought for a moment and shook her head. I looked at her with satisfaction, tossed the phone card into the trash can without a second thought, and left the home we had lived in for 7 years with my daughter. Harper, we will never see each other again. At Vera's house. When the clock struck 12, Harper woke up with a start. He immediately looked at his watch and realized that his daughter's birthday had already passed. He felt a twinge of regret. He hadn't meant to miss it. He had even left work early today and prepared a birthday present for his daughter. But when he was about to go home, he remembered that Jolie and his daughter had refused to acknowledge their relationship at kindergarten that morning, and he was still a little angry. Especially Jolie, who knew he was upset but didn't send him a message to cheer him up today. They had been married for 5 years, and this had never happened before. He decided to make her see her place, so he deliberately delayed going home. Vera happened to come over and asked if she could cook a meal to thank him for his help over the past 2 days. He agreed. He thought that as long as he returned by midnight, he wouldn't be considered late. He would let them worry for a while. Soon, Jolie would call him, apologize, and ask him to come back. It had always been like this before. Because she loved him. He thought smugly. But he had miscalculated. After finishing his dessert, he still hadn't received a call from Jolie. He felt restless. Just then, Vera brought over a bottle of red wine, and he drank a few glasses. He didn't expect to fall asleep. He certainly didn't expect that Jolie hadn't contacted him at all. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. This was highly unusual. His first reaction was to call Jolie immediately. However, the phone indicated that Jolie's phone was turned off. He was determined and tried again. It was still turned off. Feeling frustrated, he turned to send Jolie a message. "Why is your phone turned off?" He sent it, but saw a red exclamation mark. Jolie deleted it. He jumped up, his face darkening. Anxiety grew like weeds in his heart. But in an instant, he convinced himself. It's okay, his daughter has always been sensible and loves him very much. As long as he goes back and coaxes her, his daughter will forgive him. Jolie will too. Over the years, he has proven countless times that no matter what happens, Jolie will never leave him. Although she thought this, she still got up and left in a hurry. But when she opened the door, she was stopped by Vera, who was coming in. Vera was wearing so little that it was almost negligible. She looked at Harper with seductive and passionate eyes. She bit her lip and issued an invitation in a coy voice. "Harper, can we not go home tonight?" Harper watched her coldly, certain that his heart was unmoved, but instead he thought of Jolie. Jolie has always been shy and reserved about this matter. She would never be as bold as Vera. But Harper just loved seeing her helpless and helpless. His eyes were deep, and anyone could see that he was angry. But Vera didn't notice and thought he had taken the bait, so she moved closer to Harper. The cloying scent of perfume hit his nose, making Harper wrinkle his brow. He glanced down at Vera, who was lying in his arms with her eyes sparkling, and a mocking smile appeared on his lips. "Stay? Stay for what?" Vera shyly pounded his chest and whispered in his ear, "Whatever you want." Harper reached out his hand. She closed her eyes expectantly. The next second, he pushed her hard onto the floor. Vera let out a scream. Then she heard Harper's mocking voice. "Your perfume is too strong. It makes me feel sick." One sentence made Vera's face turn pale. The perfume on her body was sickeningly sweet. Harper impatiently took off his suit. He threw the suit, which cost tens of thousands of dollars, into the trash can without hesitation. He couldn't help but think of Jolie again. Jolie never uses perfume, but she always has a subtle, delicate fragrance about her. It smells like lily of the valley. That's Jolie's favorite flower. So all the laundry detergent in her house is lily of the valley scented. His clothes used to have the same scent. He clearly loved it. But he stubbornly said he hated the scent because he wanted to make Jolie feel bad. He still remembers the look of disappointment on Jolie's face when he said those words. After that, there was no more lily of the valley scent on his clothes. He suddenly felt a pang of pain in his heart, realizing that he had indeed been a little too harsh on Jolie over the years. He remembered that he had never given her flowers before, so he decided to give her a bouquet tonight. Jolie would be delighted. She was so easy to please. But when he opened the door with the lily-of-the-valley flowers he had specially ordered from a driver and the gift he had prepared for his daughter a few days earlier, he was greeted by a dark room. He turned on the lights and saw a large table set with food prepared by Jolie. Most of it was his favorite, but unfortunately, it had already gone cold. The ice cream cake in the middle had melted, and cream was dripping everywhere. The place was filled with an atmosphere of abandonment. He swallowed hard and called out, "Jolie. Tara." No one answered. He walked into the bedroom, but no one was there. The closet door was open, and when he walked over and opened it, none of Jolie's clothes were there. His daughter's closet was also empty. The lily-of-the-valley flowers fell, scattering petals all over the ground. He couldn't care less about anything else and frantically dialed Jolie's number over and over again. On the other end of the line was always the same cold female voice. "I'm sorry, the number you have dialed is turned off." "Ah." He punched the cabinet door, blood trickling down his knuckles. It hurt, but it was nothing compared to the fear inside him. In 5 years of marriage, this had never happened before. Jolie would never let him lose her. He sat down and began to reflect on himself, which was rare. Had he really gone too far these past few days? Jolie and his daughter's unusual behavior seemed to have started after the accident at kindergarten. But he had let go of his daughter only after seeing her arrive. He admitted that he had indeed been closer to Vera these past few days. But he really just wanted to annoy her. He had never thought of being with Vera. He had done even worse things before. He even deliberately rubbed lipstick on his collar so she would see it. Jolie didn't get angry. But now, she's disappeared with their daughter. There were no signs. He drifted over to the dining table like a ghost, taking one bite after another of the cold food. As he ate, he muttered, "Tara, happy birthday." Unfortunately, no one responded to him. At 7 a.m., the door suddenly opened. Harper, who had been sitting at the dining table all night, brightened up and jumped up in surprise. "Jolie." But it was a strange middle-aged woman who came in. Harper's smile froze on his face, and he asked the visitor warily, "Are you Mr. Harper?" "I'm the nanny Jolie arranged. She said she had to go on a long trip and asked me to help you with the housework." Harper asked anxiously. "Did she say where she was going?" The nanny smiled. "How would I know? By the way, sir, Jolie gave me this ring yesterday and asked me to keep it safe. It looks pretty valuable, so I didn't dare take it." When Harper saw the ring, his heart skipped a beat. It was the wedding ring he had given to Jolie. Jolie had always treasured it and never took it off. But now, she had left it behind. Harper was in a state of panic. He suddenly realized that Jolie had left him behind as well. The thought was so painful that he almost doubled over in agony. Suddenly, he remembered what the principal had said yesterday, and it was like he had found a lifeline. He grabbed his phone and called the principal. When the call connected, he got straight to the point. "What is the reason for Tara's withdrawal?" He spoke sternly, and the principal dared not delay. "Jolie said the child's father is in the UK, and she wants to take the child there to reunite with him." Harper was at a loss for words. If he had ever picked up Tara once in all these years, this lie would have been exposed. He regretted it, but that wasn't the point right now. After hanging up the phone, he immediately booked the fastest flight to the UK. He was going to bring Jolie and his daughter back. He would never let them apart again for the rest of his life. Right now, in the UK, my daughter and I are immersed in the joy of new life. Over the years, Harper hasn't given me or my daughter any love, but he hasn't shortchanged us financially. I invested most of it, relying on my good investment acumen. Over the past few years, it has multiplied several times over. It is enough for my daughter and me to live a high-quality life for the rest of our lives. I have good looks, money, and free time, as well as a dutiful child who wants to repay me, but I don't have a husband. No more waiting at home for someone who rarely comes home, no more exhausting yourself preparing 3 meals a day, no more tiptoeing around to guess what someone else is thinking, no more enduring his emotional abuse, and no more worrying about who he truly loves. At home, you can do whatever you want. Is there anything happier than that? My daughter loves our new house. Mom, this is a princess's house, she said excitedly, pulling me onto the princess bed I had specially prepared for her. Back home, this kind of behavior was strictly forbidden. He didn't come home often, but every time he did, he was keen on setting rules for us. No talking while eating, no talking while sleeping, no loud noises at home. We had to walk quietly. If he was slightly unhappy, he would look at you with a look of utter disappointment. It would make you feel ashamed, and you would have no choice but to apologize and do what he wanted. Now, in our own home, we no longer have to follow these ridiculous rules. We can do whatever we want. After dancing for a while, my daughter ran over to me and said, "Mom, can we have fried chicken for lunch today?" She looked at me with her clear eyes. I smiled and rubbed her little nose. Of course. My daughter was delighted and gave me a thumbs up. Then she asked me cautiously, "Mom, can we live this happy life every day from now on?" My eyes stung. I regretted divorcing so late. My daughter was clearly growing up brightly, nourished by love. But because of a man who didn't love us, my daughter experienced the pain of loss at such a young age, becoming sensitive and cautious. I held my daughter tightly and made her a solemn promise. Of course. Mom promises you that you can live happily like this for the rest of your life. My daughter nodded in my arms. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. I thought it was the takeout. I happily opened the door. How fast? When I saw who was standing at the door, my smile froze on my face. Harper stood at the door looking haggard and exhausted, as if he hadn't slept all night. He was holding a huge Hello Kitty doll and a cake in his hands. When my daughter saw that I hadn't gone inside, she curiously walked to the door and was also surprised to see Harper. Harper, however, acted as if nothing had happened and smiled at us. "Tara, Daddy is here to celebrate your birthday." Tara looked at him, then at me, and glanced at Harper. "Dad, Tara's birthday has already passed, and Tara doesn't like Hello Kitty." Harper's expression froze, and she obediently threw the doll aside. "Does Tara like the cake? Tell Dad later what you like. Dad will definitely make it for you." I shielded my daughter behind me and interrupted Harper's impromptu performance. "Harper, stop pretending. Save your fatherly act for Tom." When Harper heard this, her eyes lit up and she spoke with conviction. "I knew you were just jealous. Stop fooling around, Jolie. Come home with me, and I promise you'll never see Vera again." On the way there, he had already decided that he would live happily with Jolie from now on. Vera, of course, was no longer of any use to him. I looked at Harper's confident expression, which seemed to say, I knew it, and couldn't help but want to slap him. How had I never noticed how sleazy he was before? I didn't feel like wasting my breath on him, so I got straight to the point. "Harper, I've already signed the divorce agreement. Your lawyer will be in touch with you in a few days. I don't want any shares in your company. I just want the property and real estate in my name, and I want custody of our daughter. As long as you sign, my daughter and I will never appear before you again," I said to Harper in a businesslike manner. The smile on Harper's face vanished instantly, and he stared intently at me, trying to find the slightest hint of a joke on my face. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. I was serious. Looking into my eyes, Harper suddenly felt afraid. Because there was no more love in my eyes. He pursed his lips and forced a smile at me. "Jolie, I don't agree to a divorce. I haven't done anything to hurt you. I won't divorce you." I stared at Harper in disbelief, trying to gauge how thick his skin was to say something like that. I raised my voice and asked him, "Harper, you haven't done anything wrong to me, have you? 5 years ago, you were drunk and out of control, but you acted like the victim and blamed me for everything. We've been married for 5 years, and you constantly subject me to emotional abuse. You didn't even look at our daughter when she was born. She's grown up now, and have you held her more than 10 times? Have you even counted? You don't allow your daughter to call you dad at school, yet you silently accept others' misunderstanding that you are Tom's father. When an accident occurred at your daughter's school, you abandoned your daughter to save Tom. And what about this Hello Kitty? Did you really give it to your daughter, or did you just use her birthday as an excuse to give it to Vera? Every single thing you've done, which one of them is worthy of me and my daughter? You lied to me first. My accusation didn't make Harper feel ashamed, but instead made him angry. I was stunned by his shout and asked him unconsciously, "When did I lie to you?" Harper was even angrier when I didn't admit it. He said he fell in love with me at first sight during the student council interview. Originally, he just wanted to fit in and join the crowd. But when he saw how confident and cheerful I was during the interview, he was instantly moved. He has always disliked crowded places, but in order to spend more time with me, he endured his irritation and accompanied me to play house in the student union. When he received my confession letter, he thought we were mutually attracted. But Vera told him that she didn't like him at all. She had written the letter herself. She had asked Vera to keep in touch with him and gather information for her. Harper had never been toyed with like this before, so he agreed to help Vera in a fit of anger. I originally wanted to wait until we met to see how I reacted. But as soon as I saw him, I was so embarrassed that I hid. Later, I left the country without saying a word. This only confirmed that I was playing with him. He and Vera ended up dating for 2 years without much real feeling. So after graduation, when his company ran into trouble, Vera dumped him without hesitation. He wasn't upset, but then I happened to show up again. I acted as if I was deeply in love with him. He was certain that I was just putting on a show, so he quietly watched to see how long I could keep it up this time. He watched me struggle for his company, drinking glass after glass at the negotiating table. He watched me run around for him, yet still smile at him like a little son. The brighter I smiled, the stronger Harper's hatred for me grew. Because he found that he could still easily influence me. Drunkenness was just an excuse, he just wanted to keep me by his side. Afterwards, he pretended to be remorseful and reluctant. I fell for it and gave a ridiculous explanation that it didn't matter. Harper gritted her teeth. Thankfully, luck was on my side, and I got pregnant. He deliberately disappeared for a week, then reappeared and casually mentioned marriage, intentionally avoiding any formal ceremony. To my surprise, I accepted everything. After we got married, he deliberately treated me coldly, even pretending not to care when our daughter was born. He didn't believe she could keep up the act forever. But he never expected that I would remain faithful to him for 5 years. Just when he couldn't take it anymore, Vera came back. He thought he was testing me one last time. If I passed, he would forget the past and love me well in the future. He said he regretted it when he saw me and our daughter sad because of Vera and her mother. He just couldn't bring himself to apologize to me. "Jolie, believe me, I've loved you from the very beginning." He held my hand and confessed his feelings deeply. He thought I would be moved. But all I felt was sadness. I never imagined that the events of that year would take such a twist. I also never imagined that Harper and I would be played like fools by Vera. But when you think about it, can you really blame Vera? If only we had been more honest with each other back then, and if Harper had trusted me a little more over the years, how could we have wasted so many years? I suddenly felt exhausted, as if all the strength had been drained from my body. At that moment, I finally understood that true heartbreak isn't loud arguments, but rather a feeling of helplessness, a helplessness that makes you unable to even speak. I waved my hand at Harper and said, "Harper, you should go. I've made up my mind. We're definitely not right for each other." Harper grabbed me. "Jolie, I've told you, I've loved you all these years. What more do you want? I want you to never show your face to me again, never come near me again." I shook Harper's hand off and shouted at him angrily. Harper was startled by my shout and looked hurt. "Jolie, you said I'm disgusting?" I sneered. "Isn't it disgusting? Harper, just because of your self-righteous suspicions, you've neglected me, belittled me, and exploited me all these years. You made me anxious and cautious. You made me lose my expectations for marriage and my desire for love. You've caused me so much pain over the years, and now you tell me you love me? Do you even know what love is? We've been married for 5 years, and if he had any love for me, we wouldn't have ended up like this." Harper was speechless. He opened his mouth but couldn't make a sound. I didn't want to say another word and got up to close the door. But Harper pressed his hand against it, and I looked up angrily, only to be startled by his bloodshot eyes. As far as I could remember, Harper had never lost his composure before, and I was stunned for a moment. There was confusion and pain in his eyes, but he stubbornly spoke up. "Jolie, my mind is very confused right now. I feel like something is wrong. I'll figure it out. Wait for me. I won't divorce you. I absolutely won't divorce you. Wait for me. I'll sort things out and come back to pick you and Tara up." Without waiting for my response, he staggered away. A hint of sarcasm flashed across my eyes. How ironic that Harper could still be so confident at a time like this. Why does he think that just because he said something wrong, I'll come back? My daughter looked at Harper's back and murmured, "Mom, Dad said to wait for him." "Do you believe him, Tara?" My daughter shook her head. I smiled. I didn't believe him either. As soon as Harper arrived at the airport, he received a call from Vera. He sneered. Great, he was just looking for her, and she came right to him. When Vera saw Harper, her eyes flashed with anxiety and surprise. That night, the look in his eyes had been terrifying. She was a little worried that she was being too eager and annoying Harper. So she was extra careful today. He said he didn't like her perfume, so she didn't wear any today. "Harper, you just got back from your business trip. You must be hungry. I made your favorite dish." She reached out to pull Harper, but he dodged her. Harper threw what he was holding at her face and asked, "Do you have anything to say?" Vera was stunned by the impact and turned pale when she saw the envelope on the ground. This was the letter Jolie wrote to Harper back then. She didn't expect Harper to still have it. She smiled and pretended to be shy as she spoke. "Harper, I didn't expect you to still have these letters. I'm really touched." Harper didn't expect her to be so thick-skinned. He was almost impressed by her mental fortitude. He spoke coldly, "I'll give you one last chance. You'd better tell me the truth." Vera knew she couldn't hide it from him anymore, so she decided to break down and admit it. "Yes, I deceived you back then, and I deceived Jolie as well. But she was the one who constantly praised you to me, making me fall in love with you. And even though she wrote the letter, you liked my face, didn't you? After I came back, you were so good to me. Isn't that because you love me?" Vera's words tore Harper apart. All these years, he had misunderstood her. No wonder she was so disappointed. All these years, they were meant to be together. It was all because of this woman. If it weren't for her, they wouldn't have lived such a miserable life for so many years, loving each other without knowing it. Harper glared fiercely at Vera. You? You deserve it. If it weren't for Jolie, do you think I would have looked at you twice? I'm being nice to you just to make Jolie jealous. Otherwise, do you really think I'd forgive someone who abandoned me? Especially a second-hand piece of trash. Harper's words left no room for mercy, and Vera's face turned bright red in an instant. She looked at Harper in disbelief. Harper grabbed her by the neck. "You better not say another word, because you have no idea how much I want to strangle you right now." The anger in his voice made Vera shut her mouth. Tom heard the commotion inside the house, ran out, saw the scene, and cried as he hugged Harper's legs. "Daddy Harper, don't hurt Mom." Harper hated them both intensely at that moment, but he wasn't about to do anything illegal. Someone else would deal with this lying scoundrel. Harper clapped his hands, and a man with a limp came in from outside. As soon as Vera saw the man, she screamed in terror. "You bitch, I finally found you. Dad, don't hurt Mom." Harper stepped out of the room and kindly closed the door behind him, blocking out the noise. Long before Vera returned to China, he had sent people to investigate her. He knew she had come back because she had cheated on her husband and colluded with her lover to steal her husband's property. Later, she was abandoned by her lover, left penniless and disgraced, and returned to China in disgrace. Her husband had been searching for her. Harper merely offered assistance. After handling Vera's affairs, Harper immediately proceeded to Huagua. He intended to inform Jolie that he recognized his mistake. He would dedicate the remainder of his life to making amends to her and their daughter. He was on his way to the airport when he suddenly received a call from his assistant. There was a problem with one of the company's key projects, and Harper had to go in to deal with it. He had no choice but to turn around and head back to the office. By the time he had sorted everything out, it was already late evening the next day. He hadn't slept for almost 2 days and nights, and still needed his assistant to book his ticket. The assistant urged him to rest for a night and go the next day. But he couldn't wait. The assistant couldn't persuade him, so he had no choice but to make the arrangements. On the way to the airport, he was closing his eyes to rest when the car was suddenly hit hard. He suddenly opened his eyes, sat up straight, and was hit hard again. Harper suddenly realized that someone had done this on purpose. Before he could react, the car crashed into the guardrail and he passed out. His last thought before losing consciousness was that he was going to disappoint Jolie and his daughter again. After Harper arrived, I was considering whether to move. Before I had made up my mind, I received a call from Harper's lawyer. After listening to the lawyer, I froze in place. The lawyer called to inform me of Harper's death and the inheritance of his estate. It turned out that Vera had seduced her resentful husband into kidnapping Harper and extorting a large sum of money in order to save her own life. Her husband had been swindled out of everything he owned and was now deeply in debt. He was already a desperate man. As soon as Vera mentioned it, he was tempted. They demanded $1 million from Harper. Harper agreed. But they didn't expect Harper's phone to have an automatic alarm system. The police arrived quickly. With no way out, Vera's husband killed Vera and Harper, then took his own life. Since Harper and I hadn't divorced yet, I was naturally the first in line to inherit the fortune. In an instant, I became a billionaire and the president of a publicly traded company. Sitting in Harper's office, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. The twists and turns of life are truly unpredictable.